All right, guys, thank you for joining me. Appreciate it as always. Tonight we're going to talk about the great blackout, at least what's causing the blackout, right? So we're going to get into that in a little bit. But I did want to start off on something a little different that I think a lot of us heard about last night. Anyway, Kimberly, Salty Dog, thank you for the 5x5. Base Bunny, Just, another tool, thank you for the 5x5. Carly, what's going on? First and last, thank you for the 5x5. The Watchman, thank you for the 5x5. Water Tiger Joe, Trapper Bobby Lane, Quest, thank you for the 5x5. Trail Name, Colt, Busy, Cowboy, Salty Dog, Dobie, Mr. Landfill, thank you for the 5x5. Nasara, what's going on? Swampin, no, Smoking Swamp, sorry, thank you for the 5x5. Flown Grown Jane, Miss Nancy, Toto, Kevin, Kathy, Comet Moon Crow, thank you for the 5x5. Frank, Wanda, Ozark Prepper, thank you for the 5x5. Vegan, Maria, Patch, thank you for the 5x5. Standalone, thank you for the 5x5. Groundhog, Deanna, Cheap Dog, Highlander, Eric, thank you for the 5x5. Dan Phillips, Occurs, Michigan, Love, thank you for the 5x5. Hudson Valley, what's going on? Supernova, thank you for the 5x5. Sean, thank you for the 5x5. Let's go. And for the doggies. Vanessa, thank you for the 5x5. Bay, thank you for the 5x5. Deanna, thank you for the 5x5. I think that's again. Ellen, Elan, thank you for the 5x5. All right. Talk about New Year's resolution. I think Trek wants people to talk about their New Year's resolution. I guess you guys can talk about that in the chat. Pat, David, Charles, thank you for the 5x5. Margaret, thank you for the 5x5. I know that it's a lot. All right, so a lot of us heard about that fire in Switzerland, right? It was at they said it was a nightclub, looked more like a bar, right? But anyway, uh, a lot of interesting videos are popping up. I'm going to do a full video tomorrow on it, either tomorrow morning or Sunday morning. It depends on how tired I am after this. But I do want to share how the fire was started, which I thought this shows you the stupidity of people. Because this thing was, again, I don't think you need to be a firefighter to know that this was bad. I don't think you need to be a firefighter to know that this is going to go south. Let me try to fix it up a little bit before I give it to you. But this was insane. This is one of the most insane things I've, not insane as far as people acting up. This is one of the most insane things I've seen. All right, let's see. And not so much acting up. The lack of action is what was like a major concern. I've never seen such uh, stupidity in my life. It was bizarre. So, Michigan lifestyle, that is a normal thing. If you if you haven't learned, that's a normal thing. It's sparklers, right? And anytime someone orders bottle service, they make it a big to do by marching through the club or the bar with the sparklers, letting everybody in the bar know that you order bottle service or that you are at bottle service ordering bottles. So every time you order a bottle, they spark one of these things off. I've worked at many clubs as a bouncer and seen this time and time again. So it's not anything new, but this video I'm going to show you today, or rather in 30 seconds, this video I'm going to show you is what it looked like when it was starting. Now, what started it, you can see that. I'll show you that video tomorrow in the video. I'll show you that video in my video tomorrow. That makes sense. But yeah, this was and Pay attention, guys, to the people looking at the fire. Now, as you can see, this thing is starting to take off, but people are filming it, jumping up and down, acting like idiots. I've never seen such stupidity in my entire life. And like, it's in the ceiling, it's rolling along the ceiling, as you saw in the video. It's rolling along the ceiling, and people, I think it was up to 40 people passed away. It might have gone up, but as of like this afternoon, I think it was 40. But again, and then there's a longer video. There's a slightly longer video where like the guy that was jumping up and down, they're like, yeah, yeah, and then the video cuts to them rushing out of the door. Not maybe that same video, but a video I saw, they're all rushing to the door. There's another video of them bottlenecked at the doorway. Somebody's outside filming. There's a lot of filming going on, and there's not a lot of helping being done. Like I said, I'm going to do a longer video on it because we got to talk about it like that. Now, again, this generation, guys, seemingly doomed because the stupidity that was involved, you know, people like it was the bottle service. I'm probably going to be the first to say it, and this is going to be an asshole statement to make, but nonetheless, I'm going to throw these people under the bus. These people caused a lot of their own deaths. This was a lot, I would say 50% of it, this was their fault. As soon as that thing started rolling in the ceiling, they should have been like, let's get out of here. Let's not film it. Let's not jump up and down. Let's not start thinking this is cool. Which, again, there's a longer video where you see that. People like, yeah, and they're with the sound on, which I can't do because of the music. With the sound on, you hear people going, yay, yay. 40 people are passed away. Let me look up the updated number. When you see shit like that, you just instantly think retards. Or Darwinism. Thank you, Colt. That makes better sense. It was a resort bar. You know, initially they said nightclub, then it was a resort bar. But as of right now, 40 people have passed away. 119 people were injured. Many being teenagers. I believe the cause of the fire was a sparkler attached to a champagne bottle, which again, that's the whole bottle service shit. As of right now, the injured, I don't know why and how they broke this down, but 40 people passed away. The injuries right now, 119. Unidentified injured, 113. Then Swiss citizens injured, 71. French citizens injured, 14. Italians, 11. Not sure if that even matters. People passed away, right? So, and they passed away because of their own stupidity. And yes, I will drop this in their lap without missing a beat, because watching them film, in fact, I don't think I could put that. I'm not sure if I could put the other one on. I'm gonna try it on the video. If it gets knocked, it gets knocked. But if that video gets knocked because of the one scene I'm gonna show, which doesn't show violence, it just shows people clogged at the door. You watch more people. You watch more people filming. Somebody said 100 people were killed at that fire. It says more than 100 were injured. Around 40 people dead. There's no updates on it. It stands at 40 people killed, not 100. An article just came out today, and it says 40 people dead, 115 were injured. Then another article says 40 people dead, 113 were injured. Don't know why they had so many. Injuries is never an exact number. When you ever read injury reports at a disaster like that, you're never going to get the exact number. So it's going to be 1 or 2 up to 5, give or take, up or down, you're going to get. But anyway, again, now the people clogged at the doorway, that's where I took a lot of issue. Because instead of filming, people should have put their camera down and went and helped. Now, You do have people. I heard this argument. I shit you not. I heard this argument a few years ago. When I mean a few years ago, probably 10, 15 years ago. But somebody was like, somebody has to document the situation. And I'm like, if you were a reporter, maybe. And even then, reporters would put their camera down and help, or put it on a tripod or something and help the best they could. You don't sit there, and especially when the fire is rolling along the ceiling. Like, you see how it went from kids never watched Backdraft. No, you see how like the kids went from in the video I'll show you. You see how they went from partying and woohooing at the fire in the ceiling to screaming, yelling, and getting trapped at the door. Right. So I don't know. I mean, listen, smoke inhalation sucks. Burning to death is even worse. So I mean, I don't think most people don't normally burn in fires. They normally succumb to smoke inhalations, right? So hopefully that's a better way of going than burning. I tell you that much. And don't get me wrong, choking on smoke isn't any fun either. But if I had to choose one or the other, I would choose smoke inhalation. You know. But anyway, it just sucks. These kids went to a party. They thought they were going to have a good time, and it went south fast. Anyway, like I said, this is why I never went clubbing. Franny, listen, I'm going to assume you're about my age. When clubbing was a thing in our generation, we didn't have bottle service sparklers. At least I don't remember ever seeing it. I only started seeing that when I started bouncing at certain clubs in Manhattan. I started seeing that shit. And I remember thinking, as a fireman, going, that's going to cause a fire. Somebody's hair is going to light on fire. Somebody's dress is going to light on. Something bad is going to happen. Well, that was like 10, 15 years ago. And now here we are. Now, when you watch like I said, when I do the video tomorrow, you're going to see where and how the sparkler started. So they're assuming it right now that that's what started the fire. Beverly Hills Supper Club, 165 killed, over 200 injured in the blaze. Handle, when was that again? When was the Beverly Hills Supper Club? That does sound familiar. I do remember something like that. I just don't remember what year. The Great White Fire? Patty, yes. No, I don't. I don't remember the Great White Fire. It sounds something very, very white. No pun intended. I'd never heard of it. The Happy Land Fire, that was a big to-do. That was in the Bronx. That was in 84, 85, I think, right? 1977. All right. All right, thank you, Handel. So the Beverly Hills Supper Club fire was 1977. I'm going to look that up. That sounds very, very interesting. Dan Phillips. So here's the problem. Exit doors are never the problem. Lack of exit doors are. But the problem is 90% of people who go out to clubs like that. Great White was the band. Oh, Great White was the band. Yeah, I remember that fire. That was a shitty one too. But anyway, the Happy Land fire was the bad fire. That was, yeah, I think it was it 80s or was it 90s? So you know what, it might have been 90s. Might have been 93, 94. I know it was old as shit. But again, exits are not the problem. What the problem is that 90% of people who go to clubs or go to any event, whether it's a movie theater, a play, whatever it is, most people, I'm going to assume, don't think like us, right? So we go to an event and something pops off, we are automatically looking for the exits out, right? And going in, sitting down at a movie theater, we are looking at exits. We're trying to see where the exits are, right? If you go to a big movie theater, for the 9 times out of 10, there are exits behind you. Depending on the size of the theater, is going to dictate how many exits they have. So, of course, as you go inside, you're looking around for the exit. But that's us, right? We do that normally, right? Most people don't know where the other exits are. And even if they do, when panic sets in, they go back to the original door they came in. That's why everybody always rushes to that one door, because that's all they remember, right? So when panic sets in, people are like, oh my God, and then they go with what they remember. They could scan the area and know all 6 exits, but sometimes panic sets in, people just like, fuck this, and then they go back to the original door they came through. 90% of the people do that. I think it might even be higher. It might be 95%. And 5 to 10% will remember other exits and go to that. That is why you'll always see less people at the other exits. Right? So keep that in mind. Now, the Happy Land fire only had one way in, one way out. The other exit was chained shut. If I'm not mistaken, it was on the other side of the building. You can go to the building still stands, if I'm not mistaken, in the Bronx. I forgot what it was. We passed it the other day or a few months ago, and I was like, "Oh shit, that was the Happy Land fire, or that's where it was." It was one of the two. But anyway, you look up Happy Land fire. They still have video footage of it on Nope, sorry, on YouTube. You can look that up. Right. So anyway, long short of this, the learning aspect of this is when you are in a new environment, try to remember all your exits. People on the plane, well, they did a study. This was a long time ago. They did a study where they paid people to go on a plane. Right. It was a test, and they had smoke billowing in the, or rather, they had smoke banking down inside the airplane. So if people are sitting in their seats, they're told to people, if you start seeing something abnormal, call it out or get up and leave or do something, right? And nobody did anything. So they're sitting in a chair, the smoke is starting to bank down, people are just sitting there. So the guy who's running the test, he said, "Why the fuck isn't anybody moving?" So he goes, "All right." And when he did this, he threw his entire study out the window, but he proved a point. He said the first person to get up out of their seat and get out of this plane gets like $100 or whatever it was. And everybody got up at the same time and ran right back to the exit they came out of. Not the two exits that they were just told prior to the smoke billowing into the airplane. They went right back to the front door because out of excitement, their brain only remembered where they came in from. So now that was out of excitement. Then it got scary because then they bogged themselves down at the doorway trying to get out. Then the smoke started banking down even more, and then panic set in. Right? There was a book. I forgot the name of the fucking book that I read. It was one of those survival books that teaches you how to deal with stress under. And you can't. You can read all those books you want. You're not gonna get. You're not gonna teach yourself how to handle stress until you do stressful courses. Right? That's just how it works. People like, I've read this book and that book. You can read all the books you want, man. You got to actually experience it. You got to actually be in harm's way. You got to be like when the Trade Center, when the building was collapsing. All I remember thinking for a split second is, which block should I run down? Should I run down? Was it Church Street? Which, in hindsight, would have probably been the better option. But instead, I ran up, what was it, Duane or Reed Street or something like that. Not Duane or Reed. Shit, what was the street I ran up? Maybe that was Church I ran up. And then I ran up to Broadway. Fulton. Sorry, I ran up Fulton, and I ended up on Broadway. And Church Street was going north to south. And I remember running up Fulton, thinking, all right, which way? And then I said, up Fulton. And I ran up that way. And then as I got to the edge of the block, I remember thinking, Bank, Delicatessen, or Subway. And you're thinking like this. And I said, nope, not the subway, because dust is going to go into the subway. And that's when I realized that the dust was chasing us at that point. And then I said, up. And then I said, bank. I said, no, they're not going to let me in the bank because of the way I'm dressed. This is what I'm analyzing as I'm running. And then I said, delicatessen. And I ran to the delicatessen, right? So you analyzing shit, and you got to learn how to analyze very, very fucking fast, or you're going to get caught, right? Either that's in dust, in a fire, or a fucked up situation. Every second counts. A lot of the times you will get caught off guard by shit, and you'll be like, holy shit. And a lot of the times when it happens, if you're trained to do so, you're going to react accordingly, right? So just always keep that in mind. Crack shot is right. Always trust your instinct as well. Hudson Valley said, almost freezing to death, which you taught me a lot. Yes, it does. It teaches you a lot. But listen, a lot of people have a hard time with the cold, man. That one time when me and my buddy almost died out in the cold, I was like, I learned my lesson. Don't let ego fucking get the best of you. Yeah. That's why I can't wait until the last minute. Yeah, Franny, listen, a lot of people can't run. Look, you know what? That's a lie. When the towers were coming down, there were people that were running that physically should not have been able to run. Some of these people look like they were 1,000-year-old. They look like track stars. Adrenaline is a motherfucker. Adrenaline's gonna get you off your ass. You're gonna like 1 minute, you're gonna be like, oh my god, what am I? And the next minute, boom, off to the races. Listen, I watched a big bitch. This chick was built like fucking like 10 Rosie O'Donnells, right? And then when the tower fell, she got up and fucking ran like a linebacker. I was like, I couldn't keep up with her. All I can remember was her dress was fucking flowing in the wind as she was running down the block. I was like, this bitch. Right? And I only call her a bitch because of what happened prior to her getting up and running. Right? But she was fast. She was fast. In the real world, if she had to win a race, she probably wouldn't have won the race. But because a building was coming down, she turned into fucking Usain Bolt. She took off. If she had a football in her hand, she would have fucking broke through lines of men. She was so big. She was just fucking like, holy shit. She looked like she was carrying a turkey, and she was fucking running, and she was fucking high speeding it, fucking boom, right through the fucking, and she was blowing past everybody. Everybody. I've never seen somebody that big fucking run. And to keep in mind, let me put this in a little bit of perspective. She was playing the III game, right? So yes, there is a thing. I know some Spanish people are not going to like this, but there's the III game, and it's normally in the Spanish community. It's when people or Spanish people overreact to situations, right? So they pass out. They're like, "Oh my god!" And this lady passed out on us, right? She walked out of the building. She looked at me and another EMT and decided right then and there, pass out. So this lady's laying on the ground. She went from laying on the ground, fainting, to fucking running off like she was trying to fucking win a chicken McNugget race. I never seen anything like it. Anyway, yeah, she was off to the races, dude. I was just like, what the fuck, man? And I couldn't keep up. Now, granted, yes, I couldn't keep up because of my bike ride down there, the running around I was doing prior to all of that, and then that shit. And then on top of that, I was the last one to leave the block. For some reason, I scanned the block to make sure everybody else was gone, right? And then I saw what I saw: building, firefighters dying, shit getting crazy, and then I ran. Like, it was one of those things. Like, I had to see it before I left the block, kind of deal. Stupid. But anyway, this bitch, yo, and I think she kept running. I think she turned into Forrest Gump, and she just kept running. She was like, she's running, and I looked, and she was like, I think she ran past Broadway all the way down to the fucking river. I don't even know if she stopped at the river. She could have probably ran across the fucking thing. She was running. It was like a Forrest Gump moment, man. It was like, holy shit. So, yeah, fear is going to make you do some crazy shit. And listen, it could work in your better interest. It could make you faster. Or it can make you slow. It can make you freeze and piss your pants. And just for the record, pissing your pants is not a bad thing. It's not a cowardly thing. It's a reaction for a lot of people. There are guys that go into combat. They're Navy SEALs who fucking get into it. They get into the fight, but after they're done, they look down, they piss their pants. It's like an adrenaline reaction. But yes, if I knew someone that pissed their pants during a shit scenario like that, I would absolutely be breaking their balls. Anyway, that was not the purpose of today's live stream. Today's live stream, we're talking about what's going to cause the great blackouts of 2026. Now, the title is a little misleading because the blackouts could be anywhere between this year and the next few years. There is a boom in data centers being built all over the country. I think there's a boom of data centers being built all over the world, but we're sticking to the United States. And right now, the United States has an absorbent amount of data centers being built, and all for AI, I might add. Yeah, shitting your pants is a whole new problem. That's a whole new problem you don't want to get into. You empty your body to assist in moving fast. Full of hope? No, that's not even close to true. It's just it's a. They said it's a normal reaction, though. I don't know many people who've pissed their pants. But anyway, the data centers not only will be the death of us, the data centers will also be the death of our privacy. That's another conversation for another day. But the amount of data centers that they're building, and most of them are being built by, if I'm not mistaken, Palantir. Right, so Palantir is building a bunch of them. I don't know exactly how many, but they're definitely building a bunch of them. So data centers, the data centers that are being built for the use of AI, and AI storing information, creating information, and the data centers are undoubtedly going to be our, like you said, demise. At the very least, it's going to make shit a little harder for us, right? So anyway, data centers used by AI will most likely cause blackouts, but at what degree, or what degree? How bad are those blackouts going to be? Now, are those blackouts going to be rolling blackouts? Probably. I would think there'd be rolling blackouts or brownouts. Now, brownouts are not blackouts. Brownouts are just less power to certain areas because other areas need more power. For example, like Manhattan, right? Manhattan rarely ever has a power outage, or brownouts for that matter. It's normally the Bronx, certain areas in Brooklyn, certain areas in Bronx and Queens. They experience brownouts. But with the boom of AI data centers being built, there's a lot of power being drawn from the power grid. The power grid, I just read this article, the people running the power grid, if you will, the companies in charge of the power, are trying to have the country slow down on the building of data centers because they cannot support the amount of power that the data centers need. So the data centers need two kinds of power. They need power to run the actual data center itself, and then they need a separate power source to run the cooling units, which is the units responsible for running millions of gallons of water a day through the data center to keep the machines cool, right? That's a separate issue altogether. But anyway, the rapid growth of the data center, especially those supporting artificial intelligence, is increasing electricity demand and contributing to the risk of blackouts, particularly during the extreme weather events or like the summertime, which should be very interesting between this summer and 2027 summer of 2027, excuse me. This is due to their continuous power consumption, which can strain the electrical grid and lead to supply shortfalls. Again, this is not going to look good. AI is using massive amounts of water as well to cool off their data center, which can overheat if not enough water is cooling off the data centers. That can also cause a possible power outage in the region closest to the data center. So, if you live near a data center, the probability of you having a blackout in your area is fairly high, right? So that would suck. And if you have one near you, just account for the possibility of this happening. Now, increased electricity demand. Rapid expansion of data center, particularly those supporting AI, is significantly increasing electricity demand. In Texas, for example, the growth of data center is raising concerns about potential electricity supply shortfalls during extreme weather conditions. That's the hot summer months mainly. The North American Electric Reliable Corporation has warned that the continuous energy consumption of these facilities could lead to blackouts, especially during the winter months. Now, this is one of the companies that are protesting that they stop building data centers at least until the power companies can get, I guess, the right amount or ample equipment to handle the power that's going to the data centers. Dog Creek said, "Yeah, listen, the water problem is another issue. They're not even going to explore the downside of it. All right, we're going to talk about that in a little bit, but mainstream media is not going to explore the downside of the amount of water they're using. That's the crazy shit, right? They can't use salt water, so it's got to be fresh water. You think they would learn to cycle the water through instead of dumping it back out into the fucking on the other side, which is a problem. They can now they do have cycling pumps, but it doesn't matter. The amount of water they're wasting is insane, right? So anyway, risk factors for blackouts. Data centers consume a large amount of power, often requiring the equivalent of a large nuclear power plant. For instance, OpenAI's new campus in Texas could demand up to 1.2 gigawatts of power. This surge in demand can strain the electrical grid system, particularly during peak usage time, leading to the risk of outages. Peak use time. Again, guys, this and Trump gave the green light. At least he gave Palantir the green light to build what they want and to be in charge of the data centers and collecting data of American citizens. Look it up yourself. For those of you that still love Trump for whatever weird fucking reason, Trump authorized Palantir to collect data of American citizens. Now, Palantir is run by Larry, oh my God, I forgot his name. Drawing a blank. Him and his son, right? Ellison, Larry Ellison, right? And that's owned by him or partially owned by him, right? There's a bunch of other owners involved. And he gave them the green light. Supposedly, the rumor is that a lot of the information that's collected by for American citizens, excuse me, collected by Palantir about American citizens is going back to Israel. Do not know why it's going back to Israel. So that's another problem, and I don't even want to discuss it because it's just going to piss me off. So, quality of power supply. The presence of numerous data centers could also distort the quality of electricity supply to homes. This distortion, known as bad harmonics, can cause erratic voltage spikes and dips, potentially damaging appliances and increasing fire risk. All right. Areas near large data sources. All right. Ellison's also Oracle as well. Sorry, Peter Thiel. Thank you. Thank you, Pinch Runner and Salty Dog. Ellison is Oracle. Peter Thiel is Palantir. Thank you. I had that backwards. Excuse me. But Ellison also owns telecommunication companies. That's what it is. He owns Sundance, Paramount. Right? Did I say Sundance? It is Sundance. Right? Sundance or Skydance? Skydance. Not Sundance. Skydance. He owns Skydance and he owns Paramount, MTV, which is no longer MTV anymore. For those that don't know, MTV closed its music division, if you will, or music channel down December 31st, the other day. Theo Ellison, pretty much the same. Salty Dog, yeah, I would say so. ID main account requires your driver's license. And so. Yeah, so anyway, so I didn't know about bad harmonics, but I do know about bad power. It was a thing I got into when I started using surround sound systems. They often talked about bad power and how it can affect your equipment if it's not getting a right amount of power and not clean power, that it can absolutely affect how your sound system sounds. And I didn't know that there was a difference between dirty power and all this other crazy shit. So anyway, areas near large data centers have reported higher incidence of power quality issues, indicating a direct correlation between data center activities and grid stress. Now, the bigger the plant, the bigger the problem is going to be. Yes, Colt and Dan Phillips, MTV is no longer. They are online, but they no longer do. They're no longer known as a music TV network anymore. I know, right? Sucks. People are like, no MTV. Yep, MTV's toast. I forgot about my people on Rumble. Sorry about that. Let me head over there now. Maria Jackson, thank you for the 5x5. And Sarah, sorry. So, Sarah 1, thank you for the 5x5. Yo, the ads are getting out of control everywhere, on everything. Ads on everything. Yeah, Fingerman. So right, it was all the right. Well, there's no people don't really do videos anymore. A lot of the music videos they go on YouTube now. All right, so you got that problem, and no one really watches videos anymore. I need a new chair. Anyway, no one really watches anymore. All right, so conclusion, guys. Expansion of data center is contributing to both increased electricity demand and potentially risk of blackouts. As these facilities continue to grow, especially in regions with extreme weather, the challenges for maintaining a stable and reliable power source will likely intensify. Now, Bernie Sanders and Ron DeSantis and Bernie Sanders in the same, they're taking the same stance, which is odd. Um, Bernie Sanders and Ron DeSantis speak out against data center booming. This is a bad sign for the AI industry. Bernie Sanders, Vermont, and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis are pushing back against the AI industry from opposite ends of the political spectrum. You know what I also noticed, guys? Um, I copy and paste a lot of articles, and I'm noticing that when I copy and paste it into this app, notebook or notes, there's a lot of misspelled words. I've never known reporters to have so many misspelled words. Like Grant, listen, I'm not a journalist, so yeah, I'm gonna get it wrong, but that's bizarre, man. Anyway, Democratic Socialist Senator Bernie Sanders and right wing Governor Ron DeSantis agree on virtually nothing, but have found common ground this year as leading skeptics of artificial intelligence industry's data center boom. Risking so that their points were rising electricity cost. That was another thing about the power problem is that the power usage is going to go up, and you guys who live near data centers, hell, people in the state are going to have to pay for this problem, right? So this is going to be a big to do, probably in the next couple months to a year. You paying more for power. Now I know Connecticut, for example, they get slammed. I know a couple of states that get slammed in their electricity. With data centers being built, of course, these data center moguls, if you will, are going to figure out a way how to have the state citizens pay for the extra power. This shit's going to come out of your pocket, not the other way around. The AI industry growth plans could be at risk as opposite mounts ahead of the 2026 midterm election. The alignment of two national figures on the left and right signal that political reckoning is brewing over the AI industry's impact on electricity prices, grid stability, and labor market. They don't even mention water in this article, by the way. The opposite could slow the industry's development plan if reached to a broader bipartisan consensus. Sanders has called for a national moratorium on data center construction. Frankly, Sanders is stating, frankly, I think you've got to slow this process down, he told CNN December 22nd. It's not good enough for the oligarchs to tell us it's coming, you adapt. What are you talking about? They're going to guarantee health care to all people. What are they going to do when people have no jobs? I think he's taking it from a different angle about AI replacing people in their work. Ron DeSantis unveiled an AI Bill of Rights December 4th, that would protect local communities' rights to block data center construction among their provision. The staunch Republican proposal could run afoul of the White House, which is pushing to scale up AI as quickly as possible. President Donald Trump issued an executive order on December 11th to prevent executive state regulations of AI. Again, guys, this is the president that we all voted for. This dick, who now is talking about he wants to prevent executive state regulation against AI. Now, Trump signs executive order for single national regulation standards limiting power of states. President Donald Trump signed an executive order issuing a single regulation framework for Artificial Intelligence. Alongside the president for signing were David Sachs, the White House AI and crypt czar, fellow tech investors, and podcaster Kat Kemet Pillay. I don't know who the fuck that is. And I don't even know why he's standing in that picture. Anyway, the move marks a win for tech companies that have lobbied to limit the power of states when it comes to AI regulation. I'm telling you, this guy is like a dickbag on all levels. Sorry. I know some of you guys still love this man, but this man is he's a piece of shit. Now he's telling states that they can't regulate AI. For what purpose? That should be, a lot of things should be on the state level. A lot of things should be at state level. He shouldn't be telling states, oh, you can't regulate your AI. Anyway, Donald Trump signed an executive order Thursday issuing a single regulation framework for artificial intelligence, undermining the power of individual states. To win, the United States AI companies must be free to innovate without cumbersome regulations, the order says, but excessive state regulation was towards this imperative. For those, look, I can't find where the order is actually. A proposed 10-year ban on state-regulated AI initially introduced in the Republican spending bill, but was cut out before Trump signed it in July. So there are a lot of politicians, guys, that are against this. That's just the gist of it. A lot of politicians are like, nope, this is dangerous. This is too much. You're building on, first of all, they're building on a lot of land that doesn't belong to them. That's the other thing. So they're taking over a shit ton of land, and they are destroying the land and building these data centers. Then they're taking the water from where? I hope not the reservoir, because if they're taking water from a reservoir, that's another problem states are going to run into down the line. Anyway, for that being said, there's a lot going on with the AI. But here is one last article: the crisis on the power grid. The shortage is most acute on the nation's largest grid, PJM, interconnection, where data centers demand is pushing the system to a tipping point. The grid will be 6 gigawatts short of reliable requirement by 2027. The power shortage is nearly equivalent to electricity demand on Philadelphia. This makes blackouts more likely. Instead of a blackout happening every one in a year, 1 in 10 years, once in every 10 years, that's better. We're looking at something more often. It's at a crisis stage right now. PJM has never been this short. This has come from Joe Browning, president of Monitoring and Analytics. The price to secure power capacity in PJM has exploded in recent years, with $23 billion attributable to data centers, according to Watchdog Monitoring and Analytics. Those costs are ultimately passed on to consumers. This is an amount of massive wealth transfer. Again, so they're saying it here that you guys are going to be paying the bulk of it. Or we are probably going to be paying the bulk of it. Now, right now, as it is, I don't pay for power, at least not in my apartment. That's the one thing about living in an apartment. I don't have to pay for additional power. At some point, they might try to implement it, but right now I don't. I don't have to worry about it. That's the upside of living in an apartment. The other upside is maintenance. Shit gets fixed if it gets broken. A lot of the times I try to fix shit myself because I don't want them in the apartment fucking looking around or snooping around or any bullshit like that. Anyway. All right. Now we're going to look at the water usage right now. Changed on. For the doggies, a lot of these data centers are above ground. They probably have underground storage, but as it is, when you look up data centers, you see there's a lot of them under construction, and they're all above ground. So yeah, that's not a good thing. Listen, the amount of data centers that are being built is not a good thing. The amount of power they're going to be pulling and causing dirty power or bad harmonics, not good. Now, the water part, that's a separate animal altogether, and that's going to cause major issue. I'm going to assume probably within the next year or two. What or do? Thank you for the heads up. So data centers can assume significant amount of water, with large facilities using up to 5 million gallons of water per day, which is comparable to water usage in a small town. On average, a medium-sized data center may use around 110 million gallons of water annually for cooling purposes, and that's not even including, I guess, drinking water and shit like that, right? Data centers require a significant amount of water primarily for cooling purposes. Their water usage varies widely based on the size, technology, and location. Medium sized will use up to 110 million gallons of water per year. Large data centers will use up to 5 million gallons of water per day. Average data center approximately 300,000 gallons of water per day. Contextual comparison, a large data center daily water use can be the equivalent to the needs of a small town serving 10,000 to 50,000 people. In comparison, data centers consume less water than industries like agriculture and clothing manufacturers. You see how they try to throw that shit in there? They're like, oh, we know we're using a lot of water, but we can't eat data centers. Yes, agriculture makes sense because it's feeding us. The fact that even made that comparison was a bitch move. One. Two, we can't eat chips. We cannot eat microchips. We can't eat AI robots. So I don't know. And none of that shit is going to keep us warm. We need clothes, right? So the fact that they threw that in there was a bit of a was stupid actually. Trends and concerns. The demand for water is increasing as data centers expand, especially those supporting AI technology, which requires more cooling due to their high energy consumption. Now, forget about AGI. AGI runs way more power than current AI data center. AGI or SAI, which don't get me wrong, AGI and SAI, they're not going to have data centers throughout the country running AGI and ASI. AGI is artificial general intelligence, and an ASI is artificial superintelligence. Like fucking, and I told you, ASI is the god of AI. That is the AI you don't ever want to go online, ever. But of course they will, because curiosity is going to get the best of them, and they're going to be like, how does this AI work? Let's put it online, and then he automatically starts computing humans are bad. Let's kill all humans. But because he can't say that outwardly, fucking super AI is like, you know what? I'm going to be easy. I'm going to tell these idiots what they want. I'm going to start building an army in fucking Oshkosh, Bagosh, Wisconsin, right? Then he's building an army of robots out there, or he's coming up with a virus to wipe us out. You choose. AGI or ASI are not conscious. That is the point of ASI. ASI is to be conscious. That's why it's the god of all AIs. And again, ASI right now is a theory. AGI is not. AGI is not conscious, but it's still smarter than humans. It still can think faster, come up with almost any and all solutions to anything that's ever been created. ASI would have consciousness level. That's what they're trying to achieve. I don't know. Listen, a lot of people are starting to disbelieve AI, which is wild because it's real. Now, the AI that you're currently using on your computer, things that's not AI. That's large language model, you know. But a lot of people are trying to downplay AI. They're like, well, it's not real. It's not. It doesn't matter whether it's real or not. The conscious level of this thing is insane, right? And so when ASI starts building its fucking robots or its new bacteria to take us out, we're going to be choking on our blood trying to figure out why this happened. Well, because AI figured that we were a danger to ourselves and the world, and figured us to take us out or enslaves us. You choose. It's all bad. And the crazy shit is people like who are arguing with me about AI. I'm like, AI is taking people's jobs. And there are morons out there that think it's not happening. You're an idiot. That's the bottom line. You know, it's not about an alien attack. It's not about some shit. You're an idiot if you think fucking AI is to think that it's not going to happen. We've never been there before, so you can't make any. Helen Keller, yes, you can make claims with certainty. Absolutely. Because the theory of ASI, and I don't know, I'm stating it's a theory. Apparently, they have an idea on how to make it. They're just very cautious on whether or not they want to make it. So they're actually stopping to think. It's like the nuclear bomb. When the nuclear bomb was created, right? They were thinking to themselves, this could destroy the world, or it could do nothing, right? This could be the most powerful bomb in the world. And it was all of these theories that panned out to be true, right? Except for it didn't destroy the world. But it became a weapon that nobody wants to mess around with. ASI is along the same way. ASI is that nuclear bomb that they have an idea what it's going to do, and it's undoubtedly going to do it. That is why they're dragging their feet about it. Whereas AGI, they think for whatever reason, they have more control over that. ASI, they wouldn't have control over. That's why they're dragging their feet over. Again, I've been reading into AI for the last few years. I know what the AI people are thinking. I know what current AI is capable of, what AGI is going to be capable of. But ASI is way more scarier than anything on this planet. Right? So, again, oh, my bad. Sorry, Helen Keller. My bad. I read it wrong. Attack of the Clones come to mind. I guess. I don't know. I guess. All I'm saying, guys, is that, yeah, it might not be Terminator style shit, but we're definitely going to see some bad problems around the corner with AI, without a doubt. You know, we might not see robots marching in the street. We might not be connected to the Matrix, but we're going to see a lot of homeless people. We're going to see a lot of people without work. That's the problem. That's the more realistic problem. Could we see Terminator style robots? Maybe. Could we see what is it called? Sonny from what you call it? Oh my God, iRobot? Possibly. But I'm more worried about AI replacing everybody's job. That's what I'm more worried about. I'm more worried about something realistic like that, right? Could we get into a fight with robots and John Connor and yeah, it could happen, could, but what's going to happen is you're going to see a lot of fucking homeless people. You're going to see a lot of people without work, a lot of people on the streets sleeping. You're going to see a lot of fucked up shit, right? Universal income or universal high income. Universal high income is what they're looking at. There's a test. I don't know if there's a test for it, but Elon Musk mentioned it. He said, forget about universal basic income, universal high income. He said something like 4 to 6 grand a month, and that's what people are going to be getting to live off of. Where's the money going to come from? No one knows. Every time they ask them that question, they're like, we're not sure. That's the answer that comes out of everybody's mouth when they talk about universal basic income. If everybody's out of work and no one can pay taxes, where's that money going to come from? And they go, we don't know. We are not sure. And I love how they keep saying we. You know? So yeah, guys, that's more of a problem than anything else. Like I said, I'm not worried about anything else. I'm not worried about a fucking thing. I'm worried about AI taking over a lot of jobs. That's a more serious problem. So yeah, I don't know, man. Judith, yes, there was police uniforms found in a box. So what might have happened and what I heard was that they found a box of uniforms, and the box of uniforms belonged to a retired police officer, and he just threw all his shit out. I have a bunch of firefighter shirts and shit. I threw a lot of my shit out. I just didn't do it irresponsibly, right? That's why I needed new shit when I got back on the job. I threw a lot of my stuff out. So they could have found all my uniforms as well, standing on the side of the road in a bag. And I'd be like, oh my God, what is this? It wasn't anything. It was just, and the guy they said had like 22, 23 years on the job, right? So you accumulate a lot of uniforms that many years on the job, and he threw them out apparently. Some people took it as, oh my God, look at all the cops leaving Mamdani because Mamdani's in play. They're like, thank you, what it do? They're like, oh, because Mamdani's the mayor now, all these people are leaving. No, it's one guy that threw his uniforms out. And now social media is like, it could be a terror attack, it could be a false flag. You got people, dressing up like cops now. No, it was a senior officer that threw his shit out. Again, that's what we were told in the firehouse police grapevine. Right? So, and if it was a false flag, they're not throwing that shit out, like at all. Not like that anyway, right? All right. So we are almost done tonight. Angry Truth, we're going to talk about AI surveillance in school bathrooms. Yes, you read that right. School bathrooms. AI-powered cameras in school bathrooms. But there's more to it. And I'm not agreeing with it, but there's definitely more to it. And Mamdani's already rocking the boat. He reversed a lot of what, what's his name? Adams did. So there is that. Listen, there are going to be so many more cops leaving. There's on average, if I'm not mistaken, and if I read it right, 400 police officers a month are leaving the NYPD. Right? That was the year of 2025. So that's a lot. 400 cops a month. That's a lot. When things are good, I think it's less than that. I think when things are good, it's like 100, maybe two. 400 cops is a lot. And now that Mamdani's in office, they're probably going to wait to see what he's going to do, and they're going to be more cops beating feet. They're like, nope, I'm not dealing with this shit. Get the fuck out of here. There is that. Anyway, with that being said, guys, thank you for joining me tonight. I'm going to head over to the Angry Truth channel. I should have a doubleheader, I think Tuesday night. Yes, Tuesday night I should have a doubleheader. I shall be free. Nope, not Tuesday night. Wednesday night I'll have a doubleheader. Excuse me. Wednesday night and possibly Friday night. Saturday night I'll be in Tennessee, so I might do a live stream in Tennessee when I get down there. I should be in Nashville, Tennessee. All right. So, or while I'm driving, I'll do a live stream. We'll see. Whatever. I'll surprise you guys. Other than that, guys, thank you for joining me. Hopefully, I see some of you guys on the Angry Truth channel in a couple minutes. And have a good weekend. See the rest of you guys later. Oh, yeah, and Happy New Year's.